On this episode of ResiWeek, InterLogic shuts down, Dante was all over the Cydia floor, and Amazon launches Amazon Music HD. All this and more on this episode of ResiWeek.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is ResiWeek, episode 190, The Long Tail.
Support for AVNation is brought to you by
Atlona, the go-to provider for AV signal distribution and control in corporate, higher education, and residential spaces.
Welcome to ResiWeek. This is your weekly wrap-up of all the latest news and information from the residential AV industry. I'm your host, Matt D. Scott for AVNation.tv. And today I am pleased to be joined by the one and only Jason Knott. He is the editor-in-chief at CE Pro. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Matt.
Thank you so much for being here. Next, we have Jimmy Paskey. He is in charge of residential sales at Surgex. How are you, sir?
Fantastic. Good to be here.
Thank you for being here. And last but not least, we have our honored guest, Mitchell Klein. He is the president of the Z-Wave Alliance. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, thank you, and a happy fall to you and everyone else.
Happy fall to you guys, too. It is the first day of fall.
First day. It is.
We're celebrating it here in Canada with a 85-degree day. It's fantastic.
90 plus here in Boston.
Oh, yeah, not fun. If you were living under a rock, essentially this is our first major week back since Cydia Expo 2019, and we do have some good entertaining news to kind of cover out of that. The first of which, as I alluded to with the honored guest of Mr. Klein here, at this year's show, he earned the Cydia Lifetime Achievement Award. You can check this out on our website at AVNation.tv. It gives a full rundown of your history and all the things you've done. And, one of the key takeaways I had from that press release there, Mitch, was that you've guided and mentored thousands of people within the CI channel. And as much as that might sound as, kind of like lip service to he's mentored hundreds and thousands of people. It, as far as I'm concerned, it's true, because I know you and I have had countless in-depth conversations where you've really helped me see things that maybe I wasn't seeing due to your experience and everything. So first of all, congratulations to you on that. It is a great thing, and we're glad that at least I was able to be there. I'm not sure if either of you gentlemen were in the room when that happened, but it was fantastic moment.
I was there.
I know you were there.
Oh, okay.
You gave a nice speech. You brought the family up. You almost made me cry, which was annoying. And I've mostly forgiven you for it, only because I didn't actually cry. But it was fantastic.
Hey, listen, you know what? I can joke and all that, and there's a lot to joke about. But in reality, I actually had not really recognized or acknowledged how many people really were impacted by some of the things that I did and tried to do over the course of the years. And to me, the most rewarding part wasn't so much getting up on stage, but having everyone come over to me during the several days at Cydia and just thanking me. And wow, I mean, it was a pretty emotional experience, and I thank everybody for that.
And I think that really is true. Every time I saw you, somebody was stopping to chat, and I'm sure they were interested in the Z-Wave Alliance. But I
wish
there were. I know there was a lot of congratulatory sentiments and such there. All right, gentlemen, as much as I'd love to devote the entire show to Mitch, that'd be kind of unfair to the other two guys here. So let's kick it off with a story that comes to us from CE Pro. If you missed it, literally 3 days ago, a bombshell was somewhat dropped as InterLogic announced that they were going to shut down and wind down all operations by the end of 2019. Now, InterLogic, if you don't know who they are, they provide a residential and commercial security product. They're a division of UTC, Climate Controls and Security, and they're going to wind this business down over the course of the next couple of months and be done, finito, by end of the year. So, Jason, I do want to start with you on this one. This was something that I know our local distributor, this has been one of their big brands. This is something that they push right alongside Honeywell and 2GIG and some of the other major players in integration. This is not some little podunk security company that has been fledging for years trying to make a run of it. This caught me completely off guard. This is not something I expected. This is not anything that I saw forecasted. Were you in the same boat? Is this something you expected to see?
No, I'm in the same boat. I was very, very surprised. And again, I'm honored to be on the panel with Mitch. And Mitch, congratulations if I don't forget to say that. But no, I was surprised. In fact, our most recent data for the CE Pro 100 market share, they had a 25% market share, second only to Honeywell and security burglar alarm intrusion panel market. So very surprised. The only thing I can guess here is this a signal? You mentioned they're part of UTC. UTC owns, Rockwell Collins Aerospace. They own Pratt and Whitney airplane manufacturing, and they also make engines, and they also make power plants around the world. Hamilton Standard. They're a big mega company. So, this is, I think, maybe a sign of when you see a division. This InterLogic was probably a blip on the fingernail from a revenue standpoint of all of UTC. And I'm certain they were, I shouldn't say I'm certain. I can't imagine they weren't making money. But you look at a big company like that, and they're shuffling the chess pieces around, looking for which chess piece makes the most money. And this one falls prey. Whether it has anything to do with the Chinese tariffs and the profitability there, I don't know. But I was very surprised by it because they have a big market share, and somebody's going to have to swoop into that spot.
Yeah. Jimmy, when you see this, you've been in manufacturing for quite a while. Is it surprising to you that they just shut it down? I understand what Jason's saying, that it's a big corporate entity, and they're probably just looking at balance sheets and going, yeah, no, this isn't cutting it. You're done. Is it surprising that they did that opposed to trying to sell it off or just move it somewhere? Obviously, we don't know any inside information on that, but is this not something that you would expect just to see spun off?
I look at it in contrast to what we just witnessed in Denver, right? In Denver, all we saw were corporations getting larger through mergers and acquisitions. The past few years in the CEDIA space, we've seen so much of that. And here's somebody coming out of the space. And the only thing I can think of is Google. Wasn't it Google and Microsoft, 10 years ago? They tried to get into the residential security. I think that lasted a year or two, and then they kind of got out of it pretty quick. And so maybe this is just like Jason's saying, where is the focus of our company, and where should it be to maximize on profits?
Very interesting.
And if I could add in, they didn't shut down the whole climate and controls and security group. They still have Kidda smoke detectors. They still have Linnell access control. So they still have a fingerprint in the security space. Just as Jimmy points out, maybe just they're looking at the resi space and they just don't want to play there. So
yeah. Mitch?
Yeah, I can build on that for a second. So I think if you look at where they are with their panels are old school. And you're looking at companies like what Qualsys is doing, which is really pushing the envelope. Honeywell Home, also known as Resideo, they're all moving into this smart home side and getting the touch panels and Z-Wave and other platforms. And InterLogic, listen, big company looking at it going, hey, for us to get there, we have to invest X for this ROI versus go here. And, the decision they made isn't surprising to me. It's more about the timing and the suddenness of it than the decision itself.
So let me switch the conversation for one moment. We've obviously talked about how this affects manufacturing, et cetera. How do dealers, how do security companies deal with this when either you have products that are spec'd, that are ready to go, and all of a sudden you hear it's done? What do you do with your existing clients that are expecting ongoing support for that product? We've all, it says it right in the story that they're planning to support this going forward. I can attest that we've had security companies that have folded or been purchased and renamed, rebranded, and support becomes a nightmare. What do integrators do? Mitch, I'll kind of direct this to you. What do integrators do, and how do they communicate that to their clients?
First of all, I don't think we've heard the rest of the story. That may close it down, but I would imagine that there's plenty of security companies who want to swoop in and pick up those customer lists and client lists. So I don't think we've heard the last of it. Someone's going to come in and pick up those pieces. In terms of if you've already specified but not installed, I don't think there's anything proprietary in that you couldn't fill in with something else. Perhaps the pricing may be different, the use case may be different, but overall, from a functional standpoint, it's not a whole lot of difference. And if it turns out they have to make a change later on down the road, I mean, this would be a serious upgrade. People have these old-fashioned panels in their wall, and as a dealer, if you need a support or service opportunity to move them up into the smart home from there, you've got some panel upgrades. So I don't really see it as a disaster for the installers as much as it is for the folks who actually work for and sell InterLogic's products.
Yeah, that's going to be a challenge. All right, gentlemen, let's move on to our next story of the day. This comes to us from Residential Tech Today. And I got to say, this was one of the things that excited me the most coming out of CEDIA Expo, as Mitch Clonton smiles in the background. Dante was being spoken all over the show floor. Jimmy, I'm going to start with you on this one. Dante has been a absolute staple in the Pro AV, the live sound space for, 5 years easily now. They're doing fantastic things with Dante. I'm on one hand surprised it took this long to show up into residential, but at the same time, just wildly excited about what can happen with Dante in residential. Why is it important that we see some of these pro grade technologies coming into residential spaces?
Well, it's interesting from the perspective of Surgex. We have a steep history in pro and commercial, and I think it translates well to residential from the standpoint of we're always in mission critical applications, and the commercial space absolutely has to have reliability, ease of operation, and I think in the residential world we certainly, our clients want ease of operation. Of course, our integrators are going to make that happen no matter what, but reliability is a bonus, right? So that translates well. I also think that I'm hearing more and more about the Infocom crowd and the CEDIA crowd meshing more and more together. I saw so many residential guys at the Infocom in Orlando, and we had a few commercial guys show up on my badge scan leads, or badge scans anyway, for booth attendance at CEDIA. So that always is interesting to watch that dynamic continue to morph.
Yeah, it's very interesting to watch. I've noticed that as well.
To follow up on that, Matt, so our most recent data showed that in 2018, the typical residential integrator had 32% of his revenues come from commercial. And about a month before the show, I was down visiting a major manufacturer, and they're showing me what the stuff they're going to debut. And then all of a sudden they got to telecom systems and all this sort of stuff, and conference boardroom microphones. And I said, well, why are you showing me this? And they said, well, this is what's going on. Anything that's less than they use the term 5 boardrooms in a commercial establishment, the commercial guy isn't doing that job for the most part. The residential guy is. And they have actually defined it as a quote unquote resi-mercial division within their company. And they are the primary installer of these smaller project light commercial. We've already seen these guys doing bars and restaurants and those sorts of things. We're not talking about industrial complexes or Disney World, but corporate boardrooms with like 4 or 5 boardrooms in it. That CEDIA guy's doing that.
Yeah, it's very, very entertaining to watch. Mitch, when you see this, the crossover is there. We know it's there. What does this mean for the residential integrator who is not used to this kind of technology? They, as Jason alluded to, they may be in those smaller boardrooms, but those smaller boardrooms aren't necessarily using Dante. They're not using some of these more advanced network audio transport solutions. Is there going to be pushback from traditional residential integrators, or are they going to get on board and just learn how this works?
Well, I think there's two points to that. First of all, yeah, they have no choice. If they're using products with Dante, they got to jump on it. Years ago, when I was doing product for another company, before we went with Ethernet, we actually looked into Dante. Actually, it was CobraNet, I think, was the one even before
Ooh,
that.
yeah.
But Dante become the better version of that. And Dante is the ideal solution from the mixing console to the stage, because single patch and long distance for aligning time in an amusement park, or some type of sound reinforcement in a stadium. And I struggled to figure out why and how I would use it in a home. It's audio, and so yeah, maybe out into a long distance run to the backyard or something. But I'm not really clear on the appropriate use case outside of a closed loop like a JBL synthesis where everything just patches together with a single cable. But outside of that, I'm not clear on where the benefit would be in the residential community. But that said, if you guys are doing ResiMercial, yeah, read up on it, understand how it works, and be prepared to start working with it.
So Jason, let me bring this back to you. Mitch is saying that he doesn't necessarily see the use case. I know myself, I can see the use case. I also understand where it can be overkill. Where's that dividing line going to be? Is it going to be the fact that manufacturers are putting it in and we're going to get some forced adoption into it? Or is it going to be finding the use case and making the sale?
I don't think integrators respond acceptingly to being force-fed something. I think you're going to have to find the application. Granted, there were 17 companies with Dante at the show, so it wasn't a minuscule outlier. So there's clearly something there, but again, I think they're going to have to find that application before they adopt it.
Very good. All right, gentlemen, let's continue the audio conversation and move on to our likely last story of the day. This comes to us from CE Pro. Amazon announced late last week that they are going to launch Amazon Music HD. It is a new tier of premium quality music that will offer over 50 million songs in HD, read that as CD quality, as well as over 1 million songs in Ultra HD. Their highest quality streaming audio that will be available. This will retail in the neighborhood of $13 for Prime members or $15 for standard Amazon customers. Jason, I'm going to come back and start with you on this one. When you follow this, obviously there has been a demand for higher quality streaming opportunities. Amazon being such a juggernaut, what does this do? I've read stories already saying that Apple can't compete with this, that Spotify won't be able to compete with this at this point, that Amazon's literally just going up against Tidal. Is that where this is going to, is that where this is going to play, or will Spotify and Apple Music catch up quickly, or will there be another player?
From the people I've talked to, they believe Apple at some point is going to do this also. I can't speculate about Spotify. I don't know. I thought it was interesting. Amazon pulled out all the stops with the direct quote from Neil Young in the announcement that it was going to, quote unquote, change the world.
Just like a pony player?
Yeah, exactly. But I kind of use my wife as a litmus test on a lot of these things, and I don't know what the reaction will be. But we are, I think like a lot of families, huge Amazon Prime members. She is like a devotee to Amazon Prime. And so whenever something comes out that's outside of the Prime membership, it kind of pisses her off. So I don't know, where this is going to fall from that standpoint of the housewife who is going to want to listen to high quality music, or is going to be upset about the fact that Amazon wants another chunk of money outside of Prime. So I do think it's a trend. Amazon's such a juggernaut. You can't say that they're not going to move the market in some way, shape, or form.
Mitch, when you hear what Jason's saying, I would agree that was my quick takeaway, was another, $5 added on top, sure, no problem. But another $14, $35 Canadian, most likely, because that's how this works. Mitch, when you see this, is this something that most Amazon members are going to be jumping on? Because to me, this is an odd divide. Most of our Prime customers, they don't necessarily care about the Apple Music side, or sorry, the Amazon Music side of things. If they want high quality, they're not getting that through Amazon. That's not where their mind's at.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Matt, it's the long tail. You don't need most. All you need is the long tail. I mean, look at how many users they have on the Prime side. We don't need most. If they take that long tail all the way up, they probably got more than Apple iTunes. And with Apple messing around with iTunes and killing that, I think it's, first of all, it's an enormous opportunity for our channel, because now you have a way to demonstrate, to do a demo of what high quality sound is like, and you have an opportunity to sell up and to improve people's experiences. So that's awesome. I think our industry, our channel, should jump all over this. But that said, I'm already paying for Hulu, Netflix. I think I have the family membership for Apple Music, whatever they're calling it. CBS is now saying you got to subscribe to that, as well as Disney, and NBC announced theirs. But God knows where else. So we're also paying subscriptions for the security monitoring from my phone. I mean, at some point, though, we get oversaturated. So it's not about the music alone. It's about how many more of these monthly expenditures can we pick up on. I don't know. But as an industry, yeah, we should jump on it and subscribe and start touting it to all of our friends and family.
So, Jimmy, let me ask you this. I've actually got two questions for you. One, to pull off Mitch's point for a second. Do people get oversaturated with the monthly subscriptions, or do they start to forget about them? Because I, for one, I subscribe to CBS All Access or whatever it's called, and I never use it, and I don't think about it till I get the email saying, "Hey, you just paid for another month. Yay!"
I think it's two. I think it's both. I think, number one, to Mitch's point, hopefully the Resi space can use this to help them and their cause of educating the whole mass of their client base to better audio. Use it to try to drive that, for sure. Number two, I just did a quick Google search, title subscriptions. It said 3 million. Whatever popped up. I didn't go in and try to research. Spotify said 100 million. I said Amazon Prime subscriptions, 100 million. It seems to me that Amazon's trying to consolidate for everyone. So maybe you're paying $15 for that Spotify family, and now you can get $15 to Amazon, get the two birds, one stone. The problem I'll have is I can't remember my damn passwords on any of these things to cancel them. So I remember having Tidal and Spotify for 2 years, because one day I thought I'd have high-res Tidal up against Spotify convenience. And I never did the AB, and then I couldn't remember my passwords to get rid of Tidal when it was purchased. So, that's the problem. But, if they can help me with that through some other service they'll sell me, that'd be great.
Fantastic. Gentlemen, the last question I have about this is, does all of this just bring back to us an opportunity to go back to our clients and remind them about the importance of network and all of that, and take this from because so quickly it's a media conversation, which we just had, but we don't get any money when we go and encourage someone necessarily to get Apple Music HD. But if we remind them that if they want Apple Music HD, one, you need some better speakers, you need a better DAC, you need a better this, plus your network might need some work. Is that the big opportunity here?
Yeah, infrastructure and quality all around. Yes.
Yeah, I'll never forget the experience. Just last summer, my son's 20 years old. This isn't anything new. And I gave him my old high-quality headphones to replace his little earbuds, and it blew him away. He just like, oh my God, it just blew him away. Now he's got all this great hi-fi in his dorm room. But again, that exposure, great opportunity. Go for it.
Very good. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. That's all the time we have today. Jimmy, if people want to connect with you, learn more about Surgex, where can they do that?
Well, we're all over the social media for sure. Just look at SurgexAV on LinkedIn or over at Facebook, espsurgex.com for product information, and you can get our contact information at any one of those outlets.
Excellent. Thanks again for being here. Jason, my friend, thanks again for joining us as well. If people want to connect with you, learn more about CE Pro, where can they do that?
They can go to cepro.com for the website. The Twitter handles are at CE_Pro or at Jason W. Knott.
Excellent. And my good friend, Mitchell Klein, thanks again for being here, Mr. CDA Lifetime Achievement Award recipient. If people want to connect with you and learn more about Z-Wave Alliance, where can they do that?
Hey, it's always a pleasure to be here, as you know. You can email me at mitch@zwavealliance.org. There's a hyphen, Z-Wave Alliance. You can also tweet at me at Mitchell_Klein, Klein. And to learn more about Z-Wave, I'm not sure how you would do that. Or you just go to zwavealliance.org. You could do that too.
That's the easiest way to get there for sure.
Yeah, it is. It's a good start.
Yeah, good start. Good start. Excellent. Well, thank you again, gentlemen. If you'd like to connect with me, you can find me at Matt D. Scott on Twitter and pretty much every other social platform. But more importantly, please visit AVNation.tv, where you'll find this show as well as a wide variety of our other shows with all the verticals that we cover. When you visit the website, please take a moment to check out our supporters. We are extremely thankful for their support and ask that you support them as well. As a minor personal note, the CDA Board of Director elections are up again, and I've been honored to be nominated again this year. So if you'd like to get more information, obviously tweet at me or shoot me an email. But please, whether you vote for me or don't vote for me, get out there and vote for your board of directors. They and we are the group that help direct where this industry association is going. And it's great if you can put your voice to that. Thanks again. Again, if you get a chance, vote for me. But thanks again for watching. That's all the time we have for this episode of ResiWeek. There was that plug good enough for you, Mitch?
Vote Matt.
Vote for Matt. Hashtag vote for Matt.